Hello. Yes, I have time today, so I decided to make videos of the different books I've read in June so far. So yeah, the second book I'm going to talk about today is Waiting in the Twilight by JoanRiley. I'm going to read from the back of the book. It says, the second novel by popular author JoanRiley, is the moving story of Adela, talented seamstress who moves to Jamaica, where life seems to promise so much. A respectable career and the chance at last of professional status. Adela falls in love first with a policeman, then with Stanton, whom she eventually follows to England, and who then deserts her. Now a grandmother, Adela waits for her husband to return, haunted by memories and assessing what has been achieved over the years. In this poignant but above all strengthening novel, JoanRiley pulls no punches as she portrays the forgotten and unglamorous section of my people, living within a system which openly and systematically discriminates against them. Waiting in the Twilight is a powerful testimony to personal strength and determination from the popular author of The Unbelonging, Romance, and A Kindness to the Children. So this was my second time reading JoanRiley. The very first time I read her was with Romance, which I really loved. I gave it 5 stars 3 years ago, I think I read it. This one here was more difficult for me to read, not in terms of storytelling, because of the story itself. As it says, it is the story of Adela. Adela is a resilient woman. She's a strong black woman. Many people expect things from her, but nobody gives anything. Nobody gave anything to her. And the focus is really on our relationship with Stanton, because he's the one who's going to marry her. He's the second man that she has in her life, but he is the first husband that she's going to have. They get married in Jamaica, and he goes to London, and prior to leaving her, he promised that he's going to send for her when he makes it. So 18 months later, when he sends the money for a passage, she is happy, and she follows her husband to London, thinking that life will be better and that they will be happy together. But once she gets to London, she realized that she goes from disappointment to disappointment. She is disappointed by the society first, because life in London is not the way she imagined it. Life is tough, life is cold, and the people are not as friendly as they were in our island. And she's also disappointed by Stanton's behavior, because he's totally different from the man that she has known when she was living in the Caribbean. Stanton is broken. He's broken by the society, because when he goes outside, he's not viewed as a man. He's seen as a black man, so he's lesser than the other. It's very hard for him to deal with that. He takes all his frustrations out on her, so he eventually beats her, treated her badly, but she is always like submitted to him. She loves him, and she feels like she owes him being in London, because he paid for her to come here and to come join him, and he married her in spite of what his family was telling him, because she already had 2 children before meeting Stanton. And one of the reasons why Stanton married her was because he wanted a son too. There are many themes in here. As I say, feminism is of course everywhere, okay? And the hypocrisy of the church, the family relationship is also very important here. And the education is one of the main subjects. Like, I don't know how to put it, but I'm going to try, okay? In Africa, or maybe let's say in my country, it is considered rude or a bad behavior when a young person dare chat back. If an adult talk to you, you just have to say yes and do what you're asked to. That's what they expect of the children. But the children born in London and the children that you are raising in Jamaica are different. These children are taught from a very young age to speak their mind. Not to be rude, but to just express themselves when they think that what you're doing is not fair, or what you're doing could be done differently. What really pissed me off while reading this book is realizing that had she allowed herself to be happy, had she allowed herself to live without expecting anything from Stanton, she would have been a very successful woman, a very happy woman, maybe, you know, and she wouldn't, maybe even what will happen in her life that I'm not telling you because you need to read. I don't want to spoil it to you. The main events that will occur in her life would probably never have happened had Stanton been a different man, had Stanton been a man enough to face the situation, because what is tough on him is also tough on her. He's a black man. If he cannot make it in London, guess how tougher it can be for a black woman, a dark skin at it. So yeah, I felt like she was being loyal to a man who didn't deserve the loyalty. She was being good to a man who didn't deserve anything good from her, because she tried her best to satisfy him. But yeah, he had his own problem, you know. At times, Stanton reminded me of these Congolese people, my people. You know, some of them, they leave the country without a real dream in their mind, without any objective in their mind. The only dream they have is that when they will make it to France or make it to Europe, they will be able to buy all kind of suits, so they will look good and they will take pictures and they will show off on the social media, etc. They don't have any other plan in their mind for the future. And Stanton is like, at time I felt like Stanton was one of them. You don't want your wife to buy a house where you will be raising all your children. You don't want your wife even to do, you know, the minimum of things. When she makes money, you want the money. You want her money. You're not giving your own money to take care of your children, but you also want her to give you the money that she is making for you to go buy a new suit, for you to go out and have fun with other women. So I couldn't stand Stanton. I think that's why it took me so long to finish this book, because every time Stanton was mentioned, every time he showed up, I wanted to get in the book myself and slap him. I wanted to get there and chat back to him, because she wasn't daring. And when the children were advising her, she would dare think that they were fufu, as she always say. Oh, you think me fufu? Yes, you are. I was reading this book and I was pissed by her. I was admiring her, and at the meantime, I was mad at her. I was like, how can somebody so strong, how can somebody so smart, how can somebody who has so many good ideas become so weak in front of a man who is good for nothing? This nigga's good for nothing. She should have left his sorry ass a long time. You know, like when she was, I mean, pregnant with the third or the fourth child, she should have left him, but she didn't. And the fact that I didn't love, I hated Stanton, clearly. I couldn't stand him. Made me view Adela differently through another prisma. Like, she wasn't there for the diki because she could go elsewhere and get some, and she does it. But he wasn't the best lover she's ever had. So I wasn't getting it. Maybe he worked some magic on her, or he did a juju. I don't know. That's the only explanation we have in my country when things work like that. We're like, oh no, basaleli kisi. He went to the Obia, or I don't know, because this guy, even if the society was tough, because the white man, there's a scene when she goes to buy the house, the white man and his attitude and the way he behaved, you know, it made me want to get, so many things made me want to get into this novel, like physically get there and tell him, okay, who are you fooling with? Who are you playing? But then again, when she was defending herself, this good for nothing husband of her, all of a sudden, you know, opens his mouth. He wasn't speaking in the beginning. And then when he's the least expected to open his mouth, he does. So that's why I say he was a burden, actually. From beginning to end, he was more of a burden than a husband. But I'd rather be single than marry somebody like that and have to carry him for the rest of my life. Feminism was there. family issues were there. Life in the Caribbean was really well described, depicted, and I loved that part. I mean, when things were set in Jamaica, I loved that part. Things in London were just too close to home, too familiar to me. Like, I live in France, I come from the Congo, I know how people look down on you, and not always white people though. Yeah, it is the case. When I used to go to what we call here La Préfecture for the administration, I wasn't served by white people. I was served from black women from the Caribbean. So yeah, read the book. There are certain things when you're like, yeah, a black woman who think herself whiter than I could ever be. And Caribbean women, you guys. No, you need to read this book. Don't pay attention to the fact that I was pissed by these characters. She is not just talking about the relationship between Adela and Stanton. That's something that I focused on, but it is not what the author, I think, spent her time on. She was really describing life in the Caribbean, and also the life of the Caribbean women in England, and how to, you know, how hard it was to raise their children and to adapt to the English education or the English way of doing things. Because of course, when you go into people countries, they always think that their way of doing things are better than yours. And it becomes even harder for you to keep your traditions alive and to teach them to your children, because they will always, in a certain way, tend to compare and tell you that they know better. You know, when we're younger, we always know better than our parents. And then when we become parents, we realize that, hey, our parents were, maybe they were right. Maybe they were fighting for us, but that's way too late. But yeah, all in all, I gave this book 4 stars. You have to be patient with this one. And it was supposed to be a quick read. It lasted longer than I expected because of everything I've just described. Because I sometimes needed to just shut the book, breathe, and realize that it was just a fiction. I gotta stop here for this book. I hope I make you wanna discover this woman. She's not talked about on BookTube a lot. I've never seen anybody review anything by JoanRiley. She is worth the read. If you don't want to read this one first, read Romance. Romance is very, very good. You will always have a problem maybe with the male character. She has a way of, you know, crafting male in her books. Lord. Yeah, but I think I loved the male character in Romance even better than I loved this one. And when I read Romance, I was pissed by that male character. But after I read this one, I'm like, wow, the other one was nice, but he's a motherfucker too. But yeah, that's it for me today. See you in another video. Bye.